क्या मैंने I hope everybody is able to see me, hear me, and see the screen properly. We're going to be starting out in few minutes, the session. So in today's session, we're going to be covering all the details related to the FRM exam, what all different study materials are available, how should you plan your study, what are the different calculators available. We are also going to be talking about that. What are the job opportunities available? We're going to be also focusing on that. And what are the salary packages, and I'll be also walking you through a few of the major queries which students have, right? So from that perspective, we're going to be talking today. And if you have any specific query with respect to the FRM exam, you can post it on the chat and I will mention your name and I will address the query. Okay, so I hope everybody is with me. Can I get a quick confirmation on chat so that we can start the session? I hope everybody is with me. Okay, perfect. So we're going to be starting out with the session. So like I said, we are going to be talking about the FRM discussion points. Okay, but all about FRM, all the basic details about the FRM exam. And also I'll be addressing the queries as we move ahead. So what is today's agenda that we're going to be covering? We're going to be talking about the basics of FRM exam, why you should aspire to do FRM, how FRM as a certification can help you in your career. Then what is a pathway to become FRM? There are two levels to it. We're going to be also talking about those two levels program in the sense how the level one and level two is structured. We're also going to be talking about that. Next, the fee part, which is very, very important for all the students, which primarily talks about how the fee is structured for the exam and also whether we have any deferral policy and how does deferral policy works. Okay. The format of the exam, how the exam is conducted, how the scheduling is done. We're going to be also giving you a brief about that. Further, I'll be walking you through a few past percentages. I'll be also sharing the experience of how exactly the pass percentage or the results are declared. Then job opportunity, this is going to be important. I'll be walking you through few important areas of where generally FRMs get hired. It's just a indicative list. We're going to be talking about that. Also, we're going to be talking about preparation strategies. Okay, I'll be giving you a few best practices that you should follow. A broader timeline from now till the November exam. How should you prepare and how I can help you or how Fintelligents can help you in your examination. So, Tanishka, the question that you have asked after 12th, can I start preparing? It is one of the queries that I'm going to address also in the session. So, you'll have to wait for a few more minutes. So let us start with the FRM certification. So financial risk management certification is conducted globally as an exam by CARP, which is Global Association of Risk Professionals. It's a widely recognized global certification. You all must have heard about it. And there are more than 80,000 charter holders available right now in the globe. And what they are primarily doing is they are helping the market to understand what is the risk involved in different activities that the organizations are involved into. That is the primary responsibility that they follow. And they have whoever has become FRM, they've cleared FRM level 1 and level 2. So few basic details about the exam. Now, why should you focus on becoming FRM? Okay, first of all, it's a global certification. So the important point which you guys should realize is that whenever you're putting your time, whenever you're putting your effort, money towards any certification, will that certification be only recognized in India, or is it going to be recognized across the globe? So FRM, like any other global certification, like CFA, has a good reach. So there are a lot of students right now with me also who are giving the exam because they want to move towards Canada, they want to move towards Australia or Dubai market, and they're focusing on getting employment globally. So this certification will at least create some base, because whatever graduation that you have done or masters that you have done in India might not be sufficient enough to get you a role across seas, or basically internationally market. So previously, what a lot of students were doing, they were doing a master's in internationally, and then they were trying to get a job. Right now, a lot of students I've seen, they've done FRM or CFA, they've moved over there and they've done a short-term course and they've got a job also after that. So that is one very important reason why you should focus on doing FRM. It helps you to grow your network. Now, because I am an FRM charter holder, I have got an opportunity to meet senior people in the organization. They have also cleared FRM, and it helps you to connect. And recently, I also participated in one of the events organized by GAR, where I also got an opportunity to meet very senior people, chief risk officers of different organizations, to understand how they are thinking about FRM, how they are hiring people. So that this certification will help you to become a part of a network, okay, where you can be with like-minded people. So that is also an added benefit. The most important benefit, which a lot of students who prepare for the exam, they think of how is it going to help in my next job. So if you look at FRM as a certification, what happens is slowly and gradually now lot of companies, okay, slowly and gradually when they are hiring people for specialized roles. Okay, now this change has also started happening in public sector banks in India. In corporate or in global MNCs, this was already there, but now it is picking up, where they are hiring people with specific knowledge into specific roles. Like, for example, risk management, like example, treasury, compliance. So if you have an FRM certification, it gives an idea to the employer that yes, I am ready. I know the basics of the risk management which organizations follow, and I'll be able to contribute towards the organization. So it helps you to make your CV good. Also, a lot of HRs, when they're hiring people, they have keywords that they search for. FRM is one such keyword which can help you to shortlist your CV. Again, this is just an indicative benefit. When you go to the interview, they will ask you questions related to what is FRM, how it is going to help, all of these things. So, or what are the curriculums in the FRM? They will ask you questions related to the curriculum. You should be able to answer that. But FRM will set a base for you. Develop an expertise. Why develop an expertise? Because think if you're thinking FRM, you have to think long term. If you go and work for any major MNC or any private organization or company or bank, what you have to project yourself is that after 5 6 years 10 years, I'll be leading teams. I'll be a part of, say, risk management team. If you're suppose with an experience of around 7 years, the next 5 to 7 years I'll be heading a division within risk management, so, or a division within compliance. So when I'm looking at it such a long term, if you have a expert knowledge into certain section, at least you have FRM which gives you the base for that. It helps your career progression easily. So when you're looking at FRM, you should focus more on, or when you're taking a decision of FRM, global certification is one such point. It helps you to improve your CV. That is the other point. And also it helps you to develop your expertise to be in a specific role for a long period of time. So with this, we just talked about FRM. We're going to be now moving towards how you can become an FRM charter holder. So FRM, to become an FRM, you first have to register yourself with GAR. Okay, so registration fees is $400, and simultaneously you also have to fill the form for sitting for FRM Level 1. Okay, Level 1 fees is around $600. Now, Level 1 examination is held May, August, and November. So you will have to first appear for Level 1, clear Level 1. Now, once you're done with FRM level, with this information, a lot of people do not know. You have around 4 years window. You have around 4 years window, okay, to make sure that you clear level two. Now, why do we have this window in place? Because see, risk management as a domain is changing very fast. So, and that is why GARP also tries to change the curriculum as per the need in the market. So now what is happening is that if you do not clear your level two within the next 4 years after completing a level one, whatever knowledge you have got from level one is now redundant. So what they're expecting you to do is once you're completed level one, within 4 years, complete your level two. Okay. Also, once you're done with level two, okay, you have around 4 years. Now they increase it to 5 years for during COVID. Okay, but you can take this as a ballpark number of 4 years. You have to submit your 2 years of experience. Now, what experience is needed? Okay, GARP does not tell you that you have to only work in risk management. No, that is not true. You have to work in a bank, financial institution, or any company, and you have to tell them that, okay, I worked for 2 years, and within that 2 years, what all risk related activities I've done. So that is the core thing that they are looking at. So even if you're working into, say, accounts team, okay, because as a part of the accounts team you're managing the financial risk of the organization, because there can be frauds, there can be some miscalculation. So you have to focus on that how did you manage reducing the fraud incidents for the organization. Okay, that is also a risk management technique. So even though you have worked in accounts, you can still use that 2 year as a experience reference. And now the next question which a lot of students have is that should I get the 2 years experience only after completing my level two? That is also incorrect. That 2 year experience can be before starting your level one, it can be during your preparation for level one and level two, and it can also be after completion of your level two. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But after completion of your level two, you have only 4 years to submit the experience. So I hope everybody is with me with respect to how you can become FRM charter holder. If there is any query, put it on the chat section. I'll address the query. Vihan, answering to your query that what is the format of FRM level one? I'll be coming to that next once we talk about the fees and the registration piece. So FRM structure, you have exams 3 times a year now, both level one and level two. They're now conducting 3 times a year. Okay. The only difference that we see right now is for May and for November, you have a window, which means you can select the date, you can select the location, select the center, time, and you can go for the exam. But when you talk about August, which is the next exam that is coming in that August exam, you just have to select the location and time because it's only for one day. Okay. And generally what GARP does is that suppose I'm going for November exam and the exam I'm going for level two and I've selected 19th as my date. So and later on I realize that I cannot give the exam in 19, I have to shift it to 22nd. So there is no change, okay, for one time change or one time movement that you're doing. They're not charging you any fees for it, but it has to be within that exam window. So for example, I'm moving from 19th of November to 22nd of November. But if I want to move from November to next May, then there is a deferral fee of $250. Okay. What is the fees involved? Now, this is what I think so everybody must have seen or heard about it. Okay. So the fees is $1,000 for level one. If you pay early bird means for November exam, it is 31st of July. For May exam, it is 31st of January. Now, what does this $1,000 talks about? It has two things into it. First is a registration fee. This is a one-time enrollment or a registration fee. You don't have to pay this fee again. Next is this $600 is the exam sitting fee. So when you're appearing for level one, you're paying $1,000. When you clear level one and go to level two, you're paying only $600. You're not paying that $400 again. I hope everybody is clear on that. Okay. Now the next part is suppose you could not clear your level one exam, then you will have to pay back this again $600 to sit for the next exam or the next attempt. So that is why the fee structure has to be very, very clear in the minds of students who are appearing for the exam. So roughly when we talk about $1,000 in INR terms, it should be around 80 to 80, 85,000 rupees for just appearing for level one exam. Now we talked about the deferral logic, so let us move towards the deferral section. So right now, what happens is, suppose I was appearing for the August exam. So August exam last deferral date is 30th of June. So if I do not want to give the exam in August, you will have to pay a fees of $250 to the institute. Okay, and then you can shift it either to November or next May. So basically, you can move it to next two exam cycle. Previously, it was only one cycle, but they now have changed it to two exam cycle, and it has to be done before the last day of registration. The 30th of June for August exam is the last day for deferring the exam. Okay. Now this is what not many people do, because they take a decision properly for giving the exam, and they take decision accordingly and they apply for it. So I don't think so many of the students would be interested in paying that extra $250. So do not worry about it. Now answering to your query, Vehan, what is the format of level one? I'll be walking you through the books also now. So the level one exam, okay, is 100 question MCQ exam. Okay, and there are total of 62 chapters in the exam. There are total of 62 chapters, and from that 62 chapters you'll have get 100 questions. Now these are not bifurcated for books. That means it is going to be mixed, so you'll not come to know which question is from which book. When you read the question, then only you'll come to know. There is no negative marking, and the time frame that is available for you is 4 hours. So within 4 hours you have to complete 100 question. Now this 100 question is generally slightly tough for people to complete everything. On an average, right now in the past two exam, what I have seen is that people are able to complete around 90 to 95 question, or 5 to 10 question. They have to just tick and go because they do not get time. So time management is very, very important in your exam. Even though we see that it is 4 hours, but still people struggle with time. Okay, now what is there in your level one curriculum? So level one, they have given you 62 chapters, which is bifurcated into four books. The first book is your foundation of risk management. This book actually focuses more on what is going to be the what is the basics of risk management. That there are few chapters on it. We have also talked about few historical failures in your banking sector where the risk management has failed. They have given case studies to you. There is some section which talks about the ethics that you have to follow. That means the GAR code of conduct, that is also being covered in this book. And also there are two, three chapters focusing on portfolio management. So overall, this book is more theory, slightly calculation driven. Okay, the weightage of this book is around 20%. So out of 100, you will have 20 questions coming in from book one. The second book, which is quantitative analysis. Now, a lot of people have a wrong notion that this book is mathematics. It is not mathematics, it is statistics. Okay, so, and even though they have given you statistics and there are going to be 20 questions from this book, okay, over here you will find majority of the 20 questions in the exam to be theory, because they are going to test your understanding in this book rather than your calculation ability. So do not get afraid with respect to this statistics book. What is the intention? The intention is to test whether you've understood the statistic concepts or not. So in this book, they are going to be talking about different types of distribution, normal distribution, log normal distribution. They're going to be talking about the basics of statistic like mean, mode, average, then median. Okay, we are also going to be talking about probability, the base of it. Further, we move towards hypothesis testing, linear regression, multiple regression, the problems with regression that has also been highlighted in this chapter. Time series is also there. Machine learning. They have added two new chapters into this book, machine learning, with an intention to make you future ready. That is also there, and also some part of simulation. So even though this book seems to be very difficult, okay, when you start reading it, okay, you'll realize that it is connected first of all, and the stress is more on whether you've understood the concept or not. So you'll not have much calculation coming in the actual exam from this book. This has been the trend for the last two exams. Let us talk about the next book, which is Financial Markets and Product. The weightage of this book is 30, so around 30 questions will come from this chapter or this book basically. Now, in this book, they're focusing more on the different types of products which are used by investment banks, financial products. Okay, so they're talking more about futures, options, forward, swaps, FX, the valuation of futures, the basics of options, different types of option trading strategy. They've talked about, so majority of them. Okay, the focus is on, in this book again the calculation will be heavy, but if you are good in the calculator, which is the Texas BA2 plus calculator, then you'll not face much problem because the calculator helps you a lot in doing a lot of things are inbuilt into the calculator. But over here, the major focus is going to be the derivatives piece, whether you have understood the derivative as a concept and whether you are able to do the valuation of the derivative, especially forwards and futures. That is the core of this book. Also, swaps is also there, where they are talking about one of the products like interest rate swaps. That is also given in this book. There is mortgage-backed security, which is structured product. They have given introduction related to this also. Next is the book number 4, which talks about again 30% weightage coverage, valuation and risk model. So two parts to it: risk model and valuation. When we talk about risk model, they are focusing more on VAR, value at risk. Okay, what is value at risk? What are the different models of value at risk? How it is calculated? What are the factors which impacts the calculation of VAR? That has also been discussed in this, in the risk related chapters, risk modeling related chapters. Then you also have valuation related models. Valuation related models means they are focusing more on bond valuation. So there are like 5, 6 chapters explicitly on bond valuation. Then they've also talked about option valuation. So Black-Scholes model, option Greeks, all of this is covered over here. So at a broader sense, you have around 62 chapters for FRM level 1, okay, and around 100 questions to address. On an average, this historically what I've seen is, if out of 100 you are able to score between 55 to 60, you are passing the exam. Okay, so it is not required that you have to score 79, 80, or 90. It is not possible for most of the students to do it. On an average, students score this much and they have been able to clear the exam. Okay, so let us move to part 2. I've answered your query. Part two is slightly lengthy because there are like 6 books, and the number of question is also low. So there are like 80 questions. Okay, again the structure is same. You have multiple choice, no negative marking, 4 hours. But now what they have done is they've got, instead of 4 books, now it is 6 book. So effectively, what is happening? They're going to be clubbing books to ask questions to you in the actual exam. So the first book that we see is Market Risk. And this is the shift that you see when you move to FRM level 2. That in FRM level 1, it was more of basics, basics of statistics, basics of derivatives, basics of bond valuation. But over here, they have bifurcated the entire content into explicit risk which the banks face. So for example, market risk. So 20 questions. So over here, the focus is more on VAR. What are the different types of VAR model? How do you test a VAR model? Then how do you create a term structure for interest rate is also explicitly there. And we have been talking about these sections. So 20, basically it's a higher version of the valuation model, risk models that we see in level 1. So market risk, again around 12 to 14 chapters will be there from this book, 20% weightage. The next book, again around 20% weightage, is credit risk. Is also very important book. So market risk and credit risk is important book. Okay. So credit risk actually focuses more on how does an organization analyze the counterparty risk. The major focus is on that. When we ask for a collateral, how should you look at the collateral? What are the different risks involved in the collateral? They're also talking about securitization process. So all of this is covered in this book. Around 20 to 24 chapters are there in credit risk. The third book is operation risk, very, very theoretical. So you'll have to read this book at least 3 times before the exam. Okay, and it is very generic discussion. How does different types of operation risk that the organization faces? How do they mitigate the risk? How do they measure the risk? AML related queries are also being talked. So there are like 25 chapters, and each chapter is almost independent from each other. Next book is liquidity risk. Around 15% of the weightage is going to come from this book. Now, liquidity risk is going to be more focusing on This is the entire book which was added in 2020 because previously it was not there. So they added around 20 chapters related to liquidity risk, focusing on how does a bank or a big financial institution manages liquidity on an intraday basis, on a monthly basis, how do they track it, how do they calculate it. Everything is given in detail. Very, very interesting book from the exam perspective. Okay, very, very interesting book from the exam perspective. The next is investment management book. Over here, it is more on portfolio management. So they start with a single asset. They tell you what is the, how do you analyze the risk, how do you analyze the return of the risk, single asset, and then they gradually take you towards the overall portfolio and try to understand how the risk of the portfolio is managed, how the returns of the portfolio are calculated, how do you analyze a fund manager. That has also been given in this book. So overall weightage is around 15%. And the last book, 10%, this book entirely changes every year. Most of the topics changes every year. Okay. Now this is current issue. So why they have added this book around the weightage of 10%? Because they want to make sure that overall, whatever new things are coming into the market, like blockchain, your artificial intelligence, machine learning, you have Bitcoin, all of these new things, machine learning, everything has to be given to you as an introduction. When you're clearing the FRM exam, you should know some base about it. So that is what is FRM level 2. So there are like 80 questions. So based on my experience, if you get between 40 to 45, you should be able to clear the exam. Now, these are not any minimum marks given by the institute. This is what I'm telling you from my experience. Institute does not tell you that, okay, you score above a certain number, you'll be able to clear the exam. That is not there. Okay, so Indresh, sorry, Rahul, I've answered your query. Okay, there is no minimum passing score that you have to do it. The passing mark is not available in this exam. It is based on my experience that I talked about. How is result declared? This is very, very important, and every student who is appearing should be clear on how their results are going to be declared, how they can analyze the result, first of all. Okay, so now over here, I've given you an example of FRM level 2 student. So one of the student has got market risk. So this is one of the book of your level 2. Similarly, if you're looking at level 1, okay, you will have for each book details given. So if you look at this diagram, this is what you will get in your result. Okay, now in the result for book 1, which was market risk, okay, what is effectively happening? This student has got first quartile. So can you see he got first quartile? Okay, first quartile is over here, second quartile, third quartile, fourth quartile. So when you're getting first quartile, it essentially means that in that book, you were between 100 to 75 percentile, not percentage. Okay, that means if there were 100 people who had appeared for that book in the exam, you are in the top 25 students in that book. Okay, so that means you are between 100 to 75 students, top 25 percentage students who appeared for that exam. So your performance was very good when you get first quartile in any book. Okay, now the second quartile means you are between 75 to 50%. Okay, that means your performance was good, but not excellent. It was good. Okay, so if there are 100 people sitting in the exam, and for that book, okay, out of the total 100 people, you are between 75 to 50, but they're not telling you where exactly you are. Are you 55? Are you 70? Are you 65? They're not telling that. They're telling you you are in this bucket. Okay. The third quartile is between 50 to 25, and last quartile is between around 0 to 25%. So how do you see your result? Basically, if I'm talking about level 1, there are 4 books over there. So in the exam, let us talk about this is my book 1. This is my book 2, book 3, and book 4. I hope everybody is able to see that. Okay. Book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4. So suppose I got like this. I got second, 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 which means in all the books, okay, I was in the second quartile. Second quartile means I was between 75 to 50 percentile in all the books because I got second, second, second quartile. This is short pass. If you want to be safe, okay, this is the score that you should be getting. Now, what does this score means? You are better than 50% of the audience who appeared for the exam for that book. Okay, so 50% of the audience. Next, there have been in the history, I've seen a lot of students. Okay, suppose one of the students got like this 3322. Okay, so a lot of students clear in this. Okay, but there are few students who have not been able to clear because. Okay, so if you, when I'm talking about second quartile means 75 to 50. You can be very close to 50, like you got 52, 53 percentile. Okay, somebody who got similar quartiles like 3322, but he might be near 75. He might be around 70 percentile. So he's clearing the exam, you're not clearing the exam. Okay, so ideally, if you want to be safe in this situation, you should ideally in your exam. Book 2 and book 3 is heavy weightage for level 1, that is 30% weightage. So you should be able to perform better. So if you are performing better over here and you're slightly not able to perform in book 1 and book 2, you still have a very good chance of clearing the exam. Okay, I've also seen a student in history. He got like this. He got 3412. That means his performance in book 3 was first quartile. In book 4, it was second quartile. Book 1, it was third quartile. And book 2, it was fourth quartile. So he was not very comfortable with statistics, but still, this student was able to clear. So there is no set pattern which the institute has set or told that, okay, if you will get clear only by getting 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, or 2, 2, 2, 2. It's not like that. What I'm talking about is from experience that if you are looking out to clear the exam, the best in the short is to be above 50% percentile. That means get second quartile in all the books. If you're not comfortable with that or you don't think so that is possible, try to get book 3 and book 4 slightly higher quartile, so that even if you're not good in book 1 and book 2, you'll be able to cover it up. So I hope everybody is able to understand the result section. Can I get a quick confirmation on chat? Everybody? I'll be also addressing the queries which are being posted on chat. Do not worry. Now, historical pass percentages. So if you look at past 4 5 years for level 1, okay, we see on an average between 40 to 45% passing rate. Okay, and what we generally see, okay, is that uh, the impact of the level 1, okay, the passing percentage for level 1 is between 40 to 40, 50, 45%, but level 2 is slightly higher. So if you look at the numbers, okay, so generally it is 50% passing percentage. So more chances, if you have cleared level 1, there is a good chance that you will also clear level 2. But obviously you'll have to prepare. You cannot just go for the exam like this. So level 1, 40 to 45%, and level 2 around 50% is the passing percentage. Okay, what this percentage is pretty good if you compare to any other global exam. Okay, in terms of their pass percentage. If you look at Indian chartered accountancy, the pass percentage is around 10%. So likewise, the exam is not tough to clear. You have to be strategically in the top 50 percentage of people who are appearing for the exam, and that is what you should focus to clear the exam. Now, few questions which people have asked: what should be the calculator used? What should be the study material used? Okay, so there are a variety of study materials available in the market. There is Kaplan Swagger, then there is Carp material, the core material. Then there is Bionic Turtle also. Lot of other prep providers are also available. My suggestion is very simple. Do not complicate your preparation by going through 2 3 books. That is the first point. If you're sticking to one book, do it religiously. My suggestion is to pick up Swagger book, Kaplan Swagger book. It is very easy to understand. The language is easy, and the content is good summarization of what is there in the GARP book. So you don't have to worry that uh, what is there in the GARP book, because everything is almost covered. So if you want to clear the exam, historically I've seen all my students, they do not have time to go and read GARP or any other material. They only focus on Swagger and they clear the exam. So you can also do that. Do not worry. Swagger books, notebooks are good enough for your exam. Calculator, Texas Instrument BA2 Plus. This is the most widely used. Now within Texas Instrument, you will have two. Okay, you have Plus and Professional. Professional is slightly costly. Do not buy that. Plus is good enough for the exam. Texas Instrument BA2 Plus. There is also HP calculator. which I do not recommend to anybody because there are going to be very few people who have actually who are actually utilizing HP. Texas, majority of the students use it. Next part, what is the documentation that is required for you to appear for the exam? Now, there are two major things. Either you need to have a passport or a driving license. Now, both these documents has to be valid on the day of the exam. Your photo should match. Your name should exactly match. The name should match with what is written in the document and what you have given to GAR. If there is a mismatch, they will not allow you to sit for the exam. Okay, now the next question which a lot of students have is that whether uh, the suppose when I'm registering for the exam, right now I want to register for November exam. I do not have passport available. You can still register, you can schedule the exam, okay, and then you can change the detail later and you can send them an email that okay, my passport has changed. These are the latest details, the passport number has changed, but rest of the details are same. Now, and because you need that document on the day of the exam, okay. Now suppose you have given passport detail, okay, in the exam center for the exam, and you forgot to take your passport in the exam, but you have driving license available and the name everything matches. Still, it is possible that you can sit for the exam. They want a valid identification proof to identify that this is the same person who has paid the fees and he's coming for the exam. Now, how you can pay the fees? So most widely accepted method is credit card. It helps you to pay the amount very fast. There is also a wire transfer approach. Wire transfer means that you have to go to the bank. You have to select while registering with GARP. You have to select wire transfer. They will give you an invoice. You have to download that invoice, take the print of that invoice, go to your local bank. So my local bank means you have your say State Bank of India. You went to State Bank of India and you are basically filling up the form with the State Bank of India and you're attaching the invoice. And from your account, the money will get debited. It will go to a US bank, say, for example, Citibank. And from there, Citibank will pay to Institute, the GARP Institute. So to do this all process, there are two banks involved. So they will charge a fees, which is around 50 USD extra. So whatever the overall fees that you're paying, plus 50 USD, because there are banks involved into this process. Okay. Also, a lot of students, they have a query, can I use my debit card? You can use it, but for that, your debit card has to be internationally active. So you'll have to first check with your bank. You have to make the international payment active in your bank, and then you can focus on paying the institute. Okay. So these are the details with respect to the exam. I'll be also talking about Maverick. I'm also going to be talking about different job roles. It's going to come as we move ahead. The next slide. Okay. Uh, Jitin, I will answer your query. Is it better to study FRM after BCom or please mention the career. So we'll be talking about that also. What are the different job opportunities that are available? So generally, when you look at the average numbers, okay, if somebody who has become a charter holder, they are earning between 8 to 12 lakh. Now, please let me be very clear over here. It is an average number. It does not mean that everybody is earning 8 lakhs. There are people who are earning less than 8 lakhs also. So the fact of the matter that you have to understand that if you clear FRM and if you enter into good roles within say big MNCs or private banks or in India or abroad, your career will grow very fast because the packages that we see, okay, in a lot of companies, like for example in Mumbai, you have say JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citibank. Their entry level packages are also good, and as you move to good roles, say for example risk, treasury, compliance, so 15 lakhs, 17 lakhs, all of these numbers are normal. So my suggestion is that you have a range of package that you get or range of salary that you get in India, but this is just an indicative number. You will grow in your career and you'll be able to achieve good salary packages in the future. That is what you're betting when you're putting your efforts in your FRM exam. So for US, it is around 60,000 to $1 lakh. That's a normal range that we see for FRM candidates. Top five recruiters are KPMG. So consulting companies, they hire FRM extensively. Okay. Now what is happening over here? They have clientels coming from banks, insurance company, other financial institutions, and they provide consulting services. So they hire extensively FRM charter holders. Okay. Also, when we talk about big investment banks, it is HSBC, Bank of America, JP Morgan, hiring a lot in India also. So few roles that I'm just quickly going to walk through. Okay, like for example, if you do FRM and if you try to enter into fund management is AMCs, asset management companies. Few of the examples of asset management companies are over here: HDFC, ICICI, Edelweiss, IIFL, Axis, Kotak. These are Indian companies. Global companies are also there. Okay, now these within this companies, okay, you can either get an opportunity to work in the client engagement team. Now, when we say client engagement team, means you work with brokers and also you need to understand the product in detail. You need to understand the risk management in detail. Okay, so you can either become a client engagement team. It is not sales. Okay, it has some component of sales, but the major point is that you need to understand the product. You need to understand the risk in detail to survive in this role. So when we talk about your fund management company, okay, so one such role is available over here. Also, you have trading risk management team. So fund management team, or basically so the AMC, they have a fund manager for different funds. So for example, if it's Axis Mutual Fund, they will have a long-term equity fund, they will have a balanced fund. So for they will have fund managers for each one of them, and they have a risk management team to see how the fund manager is performing, where he is investing. So you can also become a part of that trading risk management team. Okay, that is also possible for you once you clear FRM. Also, you can work alongside with your fund manager. This is slightly not possible at the start of your career. This is where you can go as you gradually have experience of around 5 to 10 years within the asset management industry. Then you can easily get into the fund management side of it. That means I'm not saying you'll become a fund manager. You'll work along with the fund manager. You'll take decisions where the money will get invested. These are the three broader roles where I can see you getting placed. There are other roles also. I'm not denying that, but I've just tried to give you a three broader perspective when we talk about the AMC or asset management company. Okay. Now, generally in these structure, the broader structure that we see is that you start as an analyst. Okay, and I've given you an example of Indian company. Okay, you go to deputy manager, manager. So in Indian companies, you'll find the hierarchy is big. So you might have deputy manager, manager, general manager, likewise. Then you have AVP, DVP, VP, majority of them. Okay, the structure might be very big, but again, the compensation in asset management industry is very good. So you can also target when you're completing your FRM, you can focus on this as this industry to grow. This is the first example that I've covered. I hope everybody is with me. Let us move to this is a broader finance team that I want to talk about. Finance team over here means it can be a manufacturing company, General Mills, for example, okay, who are there in India. They will also have a finance team. Okay, some Mahindra group, they will also have a finance team. So there also FRMs can enter and work. Okay, the most sought after roles where majority of the FRM try to enter into is basically treasury. Okay. Now treasury, they have front office, they have middle office, and they have back office. Majority of the time, you will find FRMs in the middle office roles, which means they will support the front office people. Okay, and they will help them to do the transactions or treasury related operations very fast. So that is one role that they try to enter into. In CFO teams, they also get an opportunity. This is more strategic. Again, this kind of role, it is not easy to get immediately after FRM. You will have to have some amount of experience to enter into the CFO team. Then there is product control team. This is explicitly with respect to IBs, investment banks or global banks. So they do a lot of transaction or trading with different products. Like for example, uh, in OTC market they do transaction for swaps, FX. So what product control team would ideally do? They will calculate the P&L, profit and loss for individual product, individual companies, individual counterparty, and they will try to see where do we stand. Now, for to do this, you need to have good understanding of different products on which the banks trade, and that is what you also learn in FRM. That is why product control is also a very sought out roles available for people. So, for example, in Mumbai, you have say Credit Suisse, they have around 60, 70 people team sitting only in product control. So, opportunity is there for people. Financial planning and reporting. So over here you'll find majority of CFAs getting roles. Okay, but FRM people, I've seen few people also joining the FP&A, financial reporting, planning and reporting side. This is not very much connected to what we have read in FRM. But yeah, this is one team also available in general finance roles that are there in every company. Financial control, this is where FRMs can get hired. Also, this is basically a kind of a risk management team within your finance team. So when we have to see whether everybody in the finance section is actually doing their activity properly, whether they are following the policy and procedure or not. All of these things are effectively taken care of. Okay, now I've given you the career progression reference from an international bank perspective. So in international bank, you have finance team. Generally, you start at analyst, senior analyst. This you complete in the next 1 to 3 years. If you join at a very entry level, then you have associate. This is the stage where you spend around 2 to 4 years, and then you move to senior associate. In most of the companies, you do not have senior associate. You directly have AVP. So instead of senior associate, you have AVP. Then VP, so you'll spend around 2 to 4 years over here. Senior associate around again 2 to 4 years. For VP, you'll find around 5 to 7 years, and then you'll move to senior VP and other roles. So finance team, like I said, it is there in every bank, international bank, global bank, also there in every other corporate. I gave you example of Mahindra, Reliance, you have General Mills, all of them, they have finance team. So just this is also where you can get hired. Risk management, everybody knows about. This is the core teams that you can enter into. But people have a misconception that when we talk about risk management, it is only one team. That is incorrect. You have variety of sub teams with the risk management, and their roles are very different. Okay, so from my experience, this is just an indicative look. When I was working within the risk management team, we had 250 people and roughly around 15 to 20 teams sitting in the risk management domain itself. So you have market risk team, you have credit risk team. Most of the organization they have market risk middle office, market risk back office also slightly. Then you have operation risk team who are separately supporting the organization. Compliance is also considered in most bigger organization as a part of the overall risk management framework. You have stress testing team. This is unique. If you have read FRM, if you have worked in investment banks, you'll be able to, or banking sector, you'll be able to identify that there is a specific team which focuses on stress testing. They try to see what future risk that the organizations might face, and they try to prepare themselves. Risk and control team, they're more into policies and procedures of the organization. Enterprise risk management, ERM team, which supersedes all the risk team, that is also there. Model validation, most of the investment banks, most of the financial institutions, when they take decision based on some model. So whether the models that are being created, are they correct? Are they working fine? Everything is being tested by the model validation team. And the risk methodology is nothing but a team which creates the model. There are other teams also, apart from the 9 that we see on the screen in a normal risk management side. Say they might have a liquidity management team, they might have a separate reporting team also involved into it. They might have a scenario analysis team. So variety of roles are there within risk. So don't confuse it to only one team. Okay. Career progression, like majority of the financial institutions, they have analyst, senior analyst, associate, and like you said, you have AVP sitting in. So it is when you join at an entry level, you join either at an analyst or senior analyst. If you have 1 to 2 years of experience, you directly join as senior analyst. But from here, the experience is required. So whatever you have learned in FRM, whether you've actually understood it or not, whether you are able to apply it on a day-to-day basis. So associate and AVP is where a lot of people get stuck. Okay. Apart from that, you have VP, executive director, and MD. Now, generally in bigger banks, the hierarchy is flat. So it is very easy for you to become a VP at 35 or 39. So that is not a big deal because the hierarchy itself is flat. There are not many designations in between. Let me take you towards the next role, the front office. Now, over here, this is not the core area where FRMs can directly get into because you need some amount of experience. Then only it is possible for you to enter. A fresher, very difficult for you to enter into these roles. Okay, I'll be very clear to you. It is not possible for you to enter into as a fresher. Difficult. Okay, I'm not saying it's impossible, it's difficult. Now, say for example, debt structuring team. Now, over here, if you have a good idea of what is happening in the fixed income market as an audience, okay, or as a analyst, if you have good knack of what is happening in treasury market, what is happening in the corporate bond market, then you can be a part of the debt structuring team. What is happening over here? Suppose if I am say ITC and I want to raise money through bonds, and I can go to an investment bank, they will help me to structure the entire deal. That means how to raise money from the market. They will have the expertise. So when you're working with a debt structuring team, you'll be working from the investment banking side, and you'll be helping corporates to raise money from the market. This is the broader theme. Okay. M&A, generally you'll find students or from top B school working over here. You'll also find CFAs and FRM, but rarely. Okay, because over here it is not only about your technical skill set, it is about your ability to interact with client. Because when you're into an M&A team, you'll be directly dealing to the CFO of the company. You're directly dealing to the MD and the chairman of the company. So you have to be that much groomed to deal with this kind of discussions. So it is more technical, and also you how you behave, or how you have managed, what is how you polished you are. That also will be checked when you enter into a M&A team. So because FRM will only help you to gain some amount of technical knowledge, CFA will help you to get a some amount of technical knowledge. So this is where slightly you might not be able to get. I'm being very clear to you. Okay, but definitely this is one team that is there when you look at investment banks M&A side. Then you have the sales team. Basically, sales team over here means you talk to big institutional investors. You talk to big institutional investors, and you help them to onboard into your company, do transactions, do trading through us, to trading through our company. So sales team is more, again, more polishing is needed. You need product, you need to have good amount of product knowledge, good amount of market regulation knowledge, and also the selling side to it. Fund management and trading team. So you'll find a lot of traders. If you have seen any Wall Street related movies, you'll find traders taking the call and doing the transaction for the client. That is happening in this team. Okay, and it is very hectic job, but it is very highly remunerative. If you get an opportunity to work, it is very good role in terms of money, in terms of just slightly there, but you will need to have good understanding of what is happening in the market right now. If you are suppose an expert into say currency, if you are an expert into say for example futures, or say for example equity, you have to know in and out, because you're going to help your customer to do the transaction. So I'll give you an example. Suppose I am LIC, okay, and I have a team which is a my trading team. Now we have decided that we want to buy 1 lakh shares of MRF. So we will call up in my investment bank, and I will punch in an order that buy 1 lakh shares of MRF. So the trader who is over there, he will take the decision how he is going to buy, and he will execute the order very fast. So he needs to understand the market and needs to be very fast in taking decisions. So this is the front office role. Top recruiters that we see in India right now. HSBC hires a lot. Like I said, KPMG. Then you have a consulting company like PwC. Deloitte also hires a lot. Then you have Bank of America and JP Morgan. Majority of the big investment banks, Indian banks, are also hiring. Okay, and now right now what is happening in public sector banks? If you have done FRM within public sector bank, then they ask you to move to risk management team, because slowly and gradually RBI regulations are also going to move towards getting specialized people for risk management related roles. So you'll see that shift in the next 5 to 7 years happening extensively across public sector banks and private sector banks in India. So your roles will open a lot in the near future. So these are the top recruiters that we see. I have tried to address the queries as much as possible. Okay, common queries of the students now. I'll be talking about that also. So what is the eligibility criteria for FRM? Okay. So I'll also be addressing the query which has been asked in the chat section. You can post your queries on the chat. So what are the eligibility requirement for the FRM exam? Right now, the institute has not mentioned any specific eligibility. What they're telling you is that if you want to become a charter holder, you have to clear level 1 and level 2. You have to be a graduate. So if you get an opportunity to give FRM exam in your college time, for example, after 12th, after in your first and second year, I would recommend give your exam, Because what happens is that by the time you complete your college, you are able to complete both the levels of FRM. Okay, then after college, you can complete your 2 years of experience. So you have completed your graduation, you've completed your 2 years of experience, and then you submit it for charter. So as such, there is no specific eligibility criteria. Only requirement is that once you become a chart, if you want to become a charter holder, you need to be a graduate. Okay. So I hope everybody is with me on this section. So Jiten, I think I have answered your query. So your query was it is better to study FRM after BCom. So my recommendation, if you're in college right now, you should give the exam because once you start working, managing your studies with your job is going to be tough because every single day after work to dedicate 2 hours is going to be slightly tough. Let us go to the next question. Doing FRM after 12th standard. So now this question is explicitly because recently I've got a lot of students inquiring that they have given 12th exam right now and they're planning to appear immediately. So is this a good option or not? Now it all depends upon how much time you have in hand. You have to be mentally prepared because it's a competitive exam. It is not a college exam. Because that shift has to be clear. If you have that mindset and if you have that time, then definitely you can appear for the immediate exam after your 12th. There is no problem with that. I've in the last November exam, I had one student who appeared for 12th standard exam in April, and in November he cleared FRM level 1. Now he's appearing for level 2. So it is not impossible. People have done it. You can also do it. Is FRM a difficult exam? Okay, the answer to this question is yes. Okay, and because it is difficult, it has recognition in the market because if it is not difficult, everybody would do and everybody will have the certification. Okay, why is it difficult? Why am I saying that it is difficult? Because it is not like your college exam or it is not like a normal exam that you must have given till now. It is competitive in nature. So what happens is when you prepare for the exam, the content that you see, it helps you train yourself into a particular way because you do not know how the questions are going to come in the exam. It is not going to be the exact same question, obviously. But if you're trained properly, if you have read the reading, if you've understood what is there in Kaplan's Wager book, or you've done extensive solving of the question, you'll be able to find your way in the exam. And this is what I've seen with students, college students, working professional. There have been 20 years, people with 20 years of experience, they've been able to clear FRM in first attempt. So you need to have an open mindset that whatever question will come, I will address that question. I'll try to find my answer in the next 2 minutes. And I will not get dissatisfied or disheartened. Okay, if one or two questions I'm not able to solve. So if you're able to manage that pressure, if you're able to go with the open mindset, then it is very easy to clear the exam. But this is a competitive exam, not like a normal exam. So you have need to have a clear mindset shift. Okay. I hope everybody is with me and I've answered the query. Let me go to the next one. Before I move to this, I'm answering the query. So Satish is asking, can you advise the exam center in major cities? So for example, in Mumbai, you have around 7 to 8 locations. Similarly, in Kolkata, you have in Delhi, Bangalore also, Hyderabad also. All major cities are there. Okay, in certain tier two cities also they have locations. Like Pune is also a major city where you have the point. So you can give the exam. But if you're appearing for the exam, registering for the exam, for example, in November, complete your registration by June and schedule your exam. What happens is you end up registering by July and all the major locations are taken away because it's on first come first serve basis. So you might lose. Okay, so there's a GARP on the GARP website there is a list of cities where you will find centers. They also keep on updating it. In Mumbai also they'll be adding more centers as they see more and more people are registering for the exam. So what institute is also doing is they are looking at how many people have registered and they give certain time for people to schedule the exam. And then based on how many people have scheduled, they add more centers. That is how it works. Okay, Satish, I've answered your query. Let me go to the query which is there on the screen. How much time dedication is required for a FRM? If you are a working professional and if you want to start your preparation now for November exam, you need 2 hours every single day. And on weekends, you need 4 hours. So the major point that you have to understand over here is timing from now till November will not be an issue. The problem will be your consistency. Whether you are able to sit for 2 hours every single day, okay, and to consistently prepare for the exam. Because practically, roughly, if you're working professional, now 5 to 6 months is more than enough. If you're a college student, okay, and if you have good amount of time, you can also prepare in 4 months to 3 months. It is all possible. Roughly, you need around 300 hours to clear the exam. That 300 hours can be completed in 3 months also. It can be completed in 6 months also, or 7 months also. There is a widespread disbelief, or people, lot of students, they come to me, they say that I want to prepare for 1 full year and then give the exam. Practically speaking, we don't study for 1 year for any exam. Okay, so if you're thinking right now to that, I will go and give the exam in May, think logically whether you'll be able to, first of all, maintain that consistency till May. Because ultimately, what will happen? You'll end up wasting the initial 3 4 months right now, and you'll actually become very serious in the month of, say, November or December. And then, what was the difference between you starting now for November and you starting later on for October? Okay, so my suggestion is very simple. To clear the exam, you have to be in the flow. It is not about 1 year time frame or 6 months. You have to be in the flow. If you're not able to develop flow, you'll never be able to clear the exam. Let me take you towards the next section. Preparing for FRM exam with full-time job. Mm, I would say out of 100 people sitting for the exam, roughly around 85 to 90% people are working professionals. So if you're saying that, okay, I do not have time because of my job, then you do not understand that everybody else who's cleared the exam, out of that 80 to 90% people are actually working and they have also cleared the exam. So having a job and managing your study, I know it is tough. But if you want to come out of your current role, if you want to go to good roles, good salaries, you'll have to sacrifice the next 6 months and prepare properly for the exam. So preparing for FRM exam with full-time job generally requires 2 hours on a daily basis. And most important is the weekend, because on weekends you get around 5 hours slot where you can revise, you can solve, all of these things can happen. So I generally create a plan for students who join me if they are working professional, that how should they ideally target the exam. Okay, so I hope I've been able to answer the query. Preparing with full-time job is possible. You need proper strategy. You need at least 2 hours on a daily basis. Is FRM quant driven? Now, when I'm saying quant, a lot of people have the misconception that it is heavily mathematics. It was a high mathematical exam around 2015, 16, 17. But after that, they have moved more towards theory. Like I said, there is a book called Quantitative Analysis, which is stats book. Majority of the question in the exam that you'll find is going to be theoretical question. So do not worry about quant, because out of 100 question right now, in the past 2 3 exams, I've seen out of 100 question, maximum 30 questions are calculation, 70% question are theory. Some of the students have got around 80% question as theory and around 20% as calculation. And those, out of those calculation also, if your concepts are clear, if you know the formulas, you'll be able to pick up 50 to 70%. That means, suppose out of 100 questions, 20 questions are calculation. So out of that, around 10 to 12 you'll be able to pick up easily because you have done your preparation properly. The rest 8, you'll have to read, you'll have to understand what is happening in the question. You might, those questions might be tricky. So, and the answer to this question is, majority of the content or questions that are coming in the exam right now for FRM is theory. It is not quant. What is the difference between FRM level 1 and level 2? Level 1 talks more from the perspective of basics. It gives you the basics of derivatives, your statistics, basic risk management, then VAR calculation, then you have bond valuation. Majority of these stuff is at the basic level. And the questions are also going to be like that. But when you move to level 2, the focus is more on individual risk. So you have market risk, credit risk, operation risk. So in the exam, they will give you scenario based questions. Okay, for level 2, he will give you a scenario like you are a chief risk officer. You have gotten information from the market. You have got information from the regulator. Now you have to take decision. That is what they will try to test you more likely. And they will try to combine books. So when they give you a question, it will have some flavor of trade risk. It will have some flavor of liquidity risk also. and they will give you a question for the exam. So the main point that you have to understand is level 2 is more theoretical, okay, in terms of reading. So you'll have to read the content again and again. And most of the questions in level 2, you will answer based on your gut feeling that you have read something related to this. So that is a major difference. In level 1, you'll have more control, more clarity because the number of chapters are also low. The calculation is also there. But for level 2, there is very, very less calculation, more theory. Because when you read theory and go for the exam, you're not 100% sure whether the answer is right or not. That is one major difference that we see. Is work experience required to take the FRM exam? So listen to this question properly. To appear for level 1, do you need any work experience? To appear for level 2, do you need any work experience? No, that is not there. So a lot of people confuse themselves that a 2-year experience that is required. It is required to appear for the exam. No, it is required to get the charter. So you can complete your level 1 and level 2, and then based on that you can basically go for the job. You can complete 2 years and then you can apply for charter holder. So I hope everybody is with me with this section. How to prepare for the exam? So I'll be giving you a few tips to prepare for the exam. Okay, these are the best practices that you should talk about. Okay, so minimum around 250 to 200 hours, or 200 to 250 hours. This is the minimum. Ideally, it is around 300 hours of preparation that is needed to clear the exam. At least solve at least 2000 plus questions across the book. Only reading is not going to help. Level 1 is all about solving question bank. And when you're solving, focus on time. So every question you're solving, you have to think that whether I'm able to complete this question in 2 minutes time or not. Where I'm lacking, whether the calculation is lengthy. If it is lengthy and the same question comes in the exam, actual exam, whether I should be picking up this question or not. That decision making should also be done when you're practicing the questions. Okay, the institute is primarily going to test you on each and every uh, chapter from the exam, from the curriculum. So every nook and corner will be tested. So read the entire books. Don't skip any chapter. Okay, focus more on book 3 and book 4. The primary reason being it has highest weightage, 30 question. That means almost 60 question in your level 1 is going to come from your book 3 and book 4. So please make sure that you're comfortable with these two topics. Focus more on concepts repeated in the previous exams. So you have GAP sample paper in, you have to look at what concepts are tested in the GAP sample paper. Okay, I also generally share with these students that what are the most tested concept in the previous exams. Okay, this year also I'll be coming up with that sheet in the next 2-3 months, and I will be sharing it with my students. CARP sample paper you should solve before the exam. The reason being, first of all, you get a hang to sit for 4 hours. Okay, and you basically be mentally ready for the actual day of the exam. Also, you understand how GARP is structuring the question, or what are the ways or the nomenclature which they're using. So from that perspective, you should solve GARP sample paper, at least one, the latest one. Best is to get 2 weeks off before the job, from the job before the exam, because to get into the flow of your preparation, if you have proper 2 weeks holiday, then it becomes very easy for you to maintain that momentum in the last 2 weeks and prepare properly for the exam. This is just a suggestion. If suppose it is very tough, at least 1 week holiday should be there. Focus more on theory. That means even if you get a calculation, you have to understand, ask, what is this calculation telling me? How we can interpret this calculation? Whenever you're reading the content, the focus is more on theory and not mugging up of theory. Okay, it is more on understanding perspective. Solve at least 4 mock papers, time bound. Whenever I'm saying mock papers, a lot of students, what they do is that they will just quickly walk through the mock papers. That will not help you. You would have to solve the mock papers in a time given format. This is the ideal situation where you give 4 hours, solve the mock papers, then you analyze the mock paper. Analysis of mock paper is also important. If I've missed anybody's query, kindly repost. I'll be also addressing the query which people are posting on the chat. So do not worry on that section. So this is where we complete how to prepare for FRM level 1, how I can help you to prepare for the exam. Now I follow a 2-step revision framework, which I generally suggest people for their preparation. So in my sessions. Because I take physical lectures also in Mumbai, and I also take live batch, live online sessions. What is the normal process that I follow? And I've seen results. People who are following this process, they have been able to, first of all, prepare for the exam stress free. Okay, and there is high chances that they will end up clearing the exam. Okay, so what I generally tell students, if they're coming to the live session, physical or online, watch the video of the chapter before coming to the lecture. This is mandatory. You have to watch the video, and when you're watching, read the textbook and write down your doubts for each paragraph. Write down your doubts for each paragraph. Okay. Now, why am I asking you to write down? Write in pencil, because when you come to the live lecture, when you attend the live lecture, okay, you have to be very clear that what was this chapter all about, whether this chapter is easy or difficult for me, whether the what all 5 or 6 questions that I have in my mind which I want to ask in the session. Okay, so you come to the session prepared, you come to the session serious. Okay, and that is when you attend the session. I also teach in that session, so it acts as a revision for you. So that session is a second reading of the content or a revision for you with me. And I expect students to ask their doubts, whatever they have written down, in the session itself, because that is where you'll actually benefit from your preparation or the videos that we have given. Okay, so if suppose you were not able to attend the session, or you not able to attend, the session is recorded, that is made available to the live session students. Also, if you have doubt after the session, if you miss something, you still have a Telegram community where every other student is there. You can ask the query. And most importantly, I ask my students to give me update. Now, not many people actually follow this, but what I ask people is that after every month, just drop me a message informing me these are the number of chapters that I've completed, watching the video, attending the lecture. These are the number of chapters I've completed solving, so that I can guide you that whether the speed that you're following is correct or not. Okay, what should be your next immediate target? You might have some basic query with respect to preparation. You can ask me that and we can have a quick chat. So it helps you to be in the right track for the exam. So this is my two-step revision framework, which I basically ask my students to follow. And I've seen for the last 5 years, the result have been tremendous. People follow this approach and they clear the exam. Now, a lot of students, they join the batch, but they don't watch the video. This is not going to help them. Okay, they are not taking this exam seriously. And if you follow this approach, it will be a smooth sailing process, because by September and for the November exam, majority of your portion will be done. October is only for revision and preparation. So I'll give you a framework also of how should you clear the exam for level 1. Okay, suppose you're starting your preparation on 1st of June 2023. Okay, and your exam is on, say, 12th of November. Exam is on 12th of November. Okay, so ideally what you should be focusing on is that every week I'll complete 4 chapters. Okay, so in the first 2 3 weeks, just complete chapters. Okay, so and try to reach at around 15 chapters. Okay, now I've given a date of 15th of June. It can vary. It can go till, say, for example, end of June. Okay, and suppose you have completed around 15 chapters. Now from that day onwards, you should be watching new chapters and revise the old chapters in the same order and solve the question bank. Now, for working professionals, ideally you should be solving and revising and solving only on weekends. On weekdays, Monday to Friday, you should be watching new chapters. Okay, so continue watching 3 to 4 chapters every week, but also start solving the question bank. Do not A lot of students, they fail the exam because what they do is that they think that I will complete everything now, and then we will basically I will start solving later. That doesn't work in the exam pattern. You should start solving once you reach 15 chapter. This is what I feel. Okay, and by the end of September, this should be your ideal target. If you're going for November, that I will complete all my chapter videos, attending the lecture, and solving all chapter wise questions. Now, if you're able to reach this milestone, this is an ideal state. If suppose there is a delay, it doesn't mean that you're failing the exam. I've seen people completing everything by October and still clearing the exam. So this is just an ideal situation. Okay. Now, if you're able to complete everything by September end, then in the month of October, what ideally you should be doing? You should be doing your first revision and solving the sectional test. Then you should do one more revision and do important concept quizzes. Then you should do one more revision and then start solving mock papers. Okay. So this entire month, you will do three revisions for the exam. And all of these sectional tests, important concepts, these are part of my question bank package. Okay. And before the exam, so for say, for example, from 1st of November till 12th of November, okay, you should be focusing on doing your final revision, okay, and you should stop solving most of the mock papers. You should just revise, look at the formulas, look at where you have made mistake, and all everything. You should be preparing for the final day of the exam. That should be your ideal uh, exam plan. Now, how much time you should dedicate throughout? So initially you start out with 1 hour. Suppose you're starting from May, 1 hour. If you're starting from June, start with two hours every single day. And then gradually, okay, from say mid of July or end of August, you should shift to 3 hours. Gradually, you should from 2 to 2.5 to 3 hours. So in the last month, which is your October month and your November month, you have to dedicate 3 hours by default. But you should increase your speed gradually. This is what I'm talking from the perspective of working professionals. If you're a college student, you have more control over your time and you can start heavily from the start. That's not a problem. But if you're a working professional, start gradually, start 1 hour to get into the flow, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and 3 hours. That should be your focus. Okay. So general queries for November, we have already started with our batch. Okay. We have started with the physical batch in Mumbai and Andheri. How much time does it take to prepare? So I have talked about this. On an average, you need 300 hours. Okay. And you need daily basis 2 hours at least from now if you're preparing for the November exam. How to resolve the queries post your lecture. So the first approach is that you ask the queries in the lecture itself. Post the lectures, you have a Telegram group where there are more than 200, 300 students. Everybody's preparing for the exam. Everybody's in the mode of preparation. Okay, so it's a community that we have created so that each one of them can help each other. So there is a community guidance. We talked about the Telegram group. We don't follow WhatsApp group. We follow Telegram group. Okay. Also, there is continuous guidance in terms of you will have to reach out to me, and if there is any preparation related query, like I said, monthly calls, you schedule a call, drop me a message. I'll talk to you, and we can have a quick understanding what should be your next target, and follow the target, complete the target, and inform me. That is what I generally ask people to do. Okay. So we what do we offer? We generally offer your live online batch, live session, recorded lecture. Revision session is already pre-recorded on YouTube, so I don't generally do it separately because it's the same content, almost same content. Chapter-wise question, this will definitely help your preparation. You have test series, sectional test, mock papers, very, very important for your exam preparation. And we help you in terms of doubt solving also through your Telegram group. And I ask students to ask the queries in the group, in the lecture itself, and for the monthly guidance call. So few of the success stories which I would like to share with you. These were my students who have already cleared the exam, and they've also posted their success on LinkedIn. So Aishna, Amit, both of them have highlighted their success on LinkedIn also. They've been able to clear their exams. Few more, Ankit, he's cleared level 1. He's going to be appearing for level 2. Anush has cleared level 1. Arpana cleared. Chandan, they've cleared exams. Now they're going to be appearing for level 2 also. Deepak has cleared the exam. So that is there. Durgesh, he's a banker. And majority of the people which you see on the LinkedIn that they have posted, there is an interview also available. So Durgesh's interview, he's a PSB, he's working for Bank of India, if I'm not wrong. He's been able to clear the exam properly in his first attempt. Karthik, a college student, he has been able to clear the exam. Jibin was working internationally. Okay, he's an international student, he has been able to clear the exam. Manas, Khushbu has been able to appear for level 2 also. Mohammed Mansi is a college student from Mumbai. She's been able to clear the exam. Masoom, he is working with Hyderabad. He has been able to appear and clear in first attempt. Okay, so all of these students, majority of them are first attempt students. Sachin, with an experience of around 20 years, he has been able to clear the exam in first attempt. Samshul also has been able to clear it. So, few stories, and all of these interviews are available on my YouTube channel. Roughly around 75 to 80 videos are there. So you can access those videos and you can watch those videos, get learn from their experience. The major purpose of doing that is that you can understand how variety of people are clear in the exam, and it will help you to motivate also, plan your preparation also. That is there. So this is just a summary what we do offer right now. So standard package is also good enough package for somebody who's working. It's a pure video lecture package. Video lecture question banks are provided for your preparation. Majority of my students, they watch the video and then they go for the exam. Live session is also there, live online batch, but we have already started the live online batch. Mumbai physical Andheri, we conduct sessions. Okay, on weekends. Our sessions are only on weekends because we want to track for working profession, and also we don't keep session on first and third Saturday because a lot of banking students are also there, public sector bank, so we accommodate them through that. So normally my fees is around classroom is 38, live online is 28, video lecture is 21. There is some discount sometimes operational. You can ask for that discount also when you appear. Any queries from the audience side? If I have missed anything, I'll also now answer the query. So somebody is asking, sir, I'm a PSB banker and working in a branch. Okay, so how to switch to risk profile after FRM? So you have two options. Either you can move within your public sector bank to to a risk profile. But again, it depends upon what is the internal culture, because this is what I've heard from my PhD students that majority of the public sector banks they require you some certification. Either you need to have IIBF risk management certification or FRM to enter into the risk team. But the risk team is very competitive. If you're appearing, if you wish to move out of public sector bank, then definitely FRM is a very good option for you to aspire to become a risk professional, because the first question that they will ask you is that why do you want to move from a public sector bank to a investment bank or an asset management company? So you need to have a story also, and FRM will help you to justify your claim. So from that perspective, it will help you to move. So do certification, change your CV. That is also a very important step. Okay, and also interact with people who are already working. So be very active in your job search. Don't just expect that giving FRM will open. That means everybody will come to you with the job. That is not going to happen. You have to market yourself also. You have to talk to people, network also, right? Satish, answering to your query, can we take calculator into the exam? Yes, you can take calculator. The access to BA2 plus calculator is allowed in the exam. Okay, there was one more question at the start. When are the part two results appearing? I expect the results to be around end of June or July first week for both level one and level two. This May exam. Is there any other query from the audience side? I would like to I'll address that. You can post it on the chat section and I'll respond by taking your name. Almost all the queries previously been asked, I have answered the query. So if you're planning for FRM, come with a positive mindset. The exam is possible, okay, to clear. But if you have a proper strategy, proper guidance, and you are consistent in your preparation, then it is very easy for you to clear the exam. Okay, I've seen in the past 8 years, majority of students, working professionals have also been able to clear the exam. College students have also been able to clear the exam. One of the important factor is to be in the flow of preparation. A lot of students they come to me, they say that I have a practical knowledge, I've already worked in the industry, but this exam requires you to prepare like a student. So from that perspective, definitely this will help you if you follow that approach. Also, if you are preparing or doing a self-study, you need any assistance, there is a Excel tracker which I can share it to you. You can reach us on our WhatsApp number. The details are there on the screen. Okay, and you can WhatsApp with your full name and ask for that Excel tracker. We can share it with you, which can help you to prepare for the exam. Any specific query? If not, then we'll close the session for today. I hope this session was informative to everybody. It helped them to resolve majority of their queries with respect to the FRM exam. We'll be coming up with a lot of similar sessions on YouTube to help address the problems which students face, queries that students face. And I'll be active on the YouTube channel, also on Instagram, also for people to help and clear the exam in the first attempt. Okay. So follow us on YouTube, Facebook,